The trash can girl. The wind was cold that night. The sky above the ruined colony was dark and full of dust. Old machines lay broken all around. There was no sound, only the quiet hum of power lines that didn't work anymore. Eli walked out of his scrapyard, carrying a metal box full of junk. He wore a thick coat and old boots. His face looked tired, like someone who had seen too much war and too little peace. He lived alone, fixed machines for food, talked to no one, trusted no one. He threw the box into the trash pile outside his fence. But then he heard a sound. Clang. It was soft, almost nothing, but enough to make him stop. He looked around. "Who's there?" he said loudly. No answer. Then he saw it. Between two trash bins, behind a broken solar panel, there was something shiny, something not from Earth. Pod. Small, round, and glowing faint blue. He stepped closer. Slowly, carefully. The pod made a soft noise. Hisses. A thin line appeared in the middle, and the top opened just a little. Inside was a girl. She looked about 14. Her skin was light gray, but smooth. Her hair was white, dirty, and full of dust. Her clothes were torn. Her body was thin, too thin. She opened her eyes. Bright purple, glowing. Eli froze. The girl didn't speak. She just stared at him. Her lips moved a little, but no sound came. She looked scared, weak, like she had no strength to move. Eli didn't know what to do. "You're not human," he said softly. The girl blinked slowly. She tried to lift her hand but couldn't. Eli noticed her wrist. It had strange marks, tiny wires and glowing lines under the skin. He looked around. If the patrol saw this, he'd be arrested. Or worse. But something inside him said, "Don't leave her here." He reached into the pod and picked her up. She was light. Her body shook in his arms. She felt like glass, fragile, cold, breakable. Eli took her inside his workshop, laid her on a small bed near the heater. He gave her water. She drank it like she hadn't seen water in days. He brought her food. She didn't know how to eat. He showed her. She copied him slowly. All night he sat beside her, watching, thinking. "Who are you?" he whispered. She didn't answer. In the morning, she tried to sit up. Her arms were shaking. She looked around the room, at the old tools, the broken screens, the metal shelves. Eli walked in with a bowl of soup. "You're safe," he said. "No one will hurt you here." The girl looked at him, then pointed at herself. "Nova," she said in a soft, strange voice. Eli raised an eyebrow. "Nova? Is that your name?" She nodded slowly. He pointed at himself. "Eli." She stared, then copied. "E-Lee." He smiled a little. Days passed. Eli taught Nova simple words. Water, food, hot, cold, fix, broken. She learned fast, very fast. She liked touching machines. Her fingers moved smoothly over wires, circuits, and screens. One day, she fixed a radio that Eli had given up on years ago. "How did you do that?" he asked. She just smiled. She liked music too. Every time Eli played soft earth music, she would close her eyes and sway slowly. But at night, she had dreams. Bad ones. She would cry in her sleep, or whisper strange words. Sometimes she would wake up sweating, holding her head. Eli didn't ask. He knew trauma when he saw it. One evening, while Eli worked on an engine, Nova sat beside him. She picked up a broken tool and held it close. Her hand glowed faintly. The tool shook and then clicked. Fixed. Eli stared. "Are you some kind of machine?" Nova looked at him, shook her head, then pointed at her heart. "Alive," she said. He nodded slowly. "Yeah, I can see that." Later that night, Eli turned off the lights and got ready to sleep. But then he heard something. Nova was standing near the window, looking at the sky. He walked to her. "Can't sleep." She didn't answer. Her voice came low and clear. "Danger, coming." Eli felt a chill run down his spine. "What do you mean?" Nova turned her glowing eyes to him. "They're looking for me." Eli didn't sleep much that night. He sat on the old couch watching Nova through the glass. She stood still, eyes fixed on the stars. Her body glowed faintly, like the stars were speaking to her. Her words still echoed in his mind. "They're looking for me." Who were they? He didn't ask. Not yet. He could see the fear behind her glowing eyes. In the morning, Nova was already awake. She sat on the floor, holding a screwdriver like a baby holds a toy. She watched Eli with quiet curiosity, copying the way he walked, sat, and drank tea. Eli took a chalkboard and drew simple pictures. "This is food," he said, pointing at a drawing. Nova repeated, "Food. This is danger. Danger. This is safe. Safe." Her voice was soft but clear. Her accent was strange, but she learned fast. Faster than any human child Eli had ever met. They did this every day. He showed her tools, machines, wires. She copied everything: how to hold a wrench, how to open a gear case, how to clean a circuit board. Within a week, she could fix broken toasters and fans like a trained engineer. One evening, Eli opened an old toolbox. Inside was a round metal orb, something even he couldn't understand. He handed it to her. "Do you know what this is?" Nova took it gently. Her fingers glowed. The orb hummed and unfolded like a flower. Eli's eyes widened. "What the hell?" Nova looked confused. "Old tech. Memory keeper," she whispered. "You've seen this before?" She nodded. "Long time ago. Before Crash." Over time, Nova started smiling more. She discovered music. Loved it. She danced when Eli played soft jazz from his ancient radio. Her steps were strange, like slow waves. Sometimes she even laughed. A high, almost musical sound. But the nights were still hard. She had nightmares. Sometimes she screamed in a language Eli didn't understand. Sometimes her hands lit up with light so bright, it hurt to look. One night, Eli woke up to find her curled in a corner, shaking. He walked over slowly and sat beside her. "I see fire," she whispered. "Ships falling. Screams. I was small. They were hurting us." Eli didn't say anything. She leaned on his shoulder. "You are not like them." "Who?" "Humans. You are kind." Eli let out a short breath. "Not all of us are monsters." One day, while Eli was fixing a power core, he felt Nova's eyes on him. "Why do you live alone?" she asked. Eli looked up. "War took everything. Family, gone." She was quiet for a moment. "Me too." They didn't speak more that day, but the silence felt like understanding. 2 days later, Nova found a broken robot dog under a tarp. Eli had tried to fix it for years. It never worked. The AI chip was fried. Nova asked if she could try. He shrugged. "Go ahead." She placed her hands over the head. A soft hum filled the air. Lights blinked. The robot shook, beeped, and then wagged its metal tail. Eli stared. "You fixed it." Nova smiled. "I feel machines. Like, I hear them speak." That night, they named the robot Rex. Nova spent hours with it, teaching it tricks, laughing as it chased laser lights. Eli couldn't remember the last time his workshop felt alive. But peace doesn't last forever. One evening, Nova sat quietly by the window, holding her arm. Eli noticed. "What's wrong?" She didn't answer. He walked over. "Nova." She rolled up her sleeve. Under her skin, something was glowing. A tiny red light, pulsing slowly. "What is that?" She looked scared. "It's a tracker. Hidden." "I didn't know." Eli's heart sank. "They can find you with this?" Nova nodded. "Maybe. They already are." Without a word, Eli grabbed a blade and a soldering tool. "This will hurt," he said. Nova didn't move. "Do it." He sliced gently along the glowing line. Her blood was blue and thick. He found the chip, a black shard of alien metal. He dropped it into acid. It hissed and dissolved. Nova didn't cry. She just whispered, "Thank you." That night, she stood outside, looking at the sky again. Eli joined her. "You think they're still coming?" he asked. Nova nodded. "They don't stop. They want me because of what I am." "What are you?" She paused. "I don't know, but I remember fire. I remember a man with no eyes, who said I was the last. Eli felt a chill. Last of what? She looked at him. I don't want to remember anymore, she said. I want to be like you. He smiled sadly. You're not like me. But you fix things, she whispered. You fixed me. Eli placed a hand on her shoulder. You saved yourself, kid. But far away, beyond the colony wall, a small flying drone hovered in the dark, recording everything with a red blinking eye. And it had already sent a signal. It had been almost 2 months since Eli found Nova. The scrapyard no longer felt empty. There was laughter sometimes, the sound of tools clinking, and even the soft barks of Rex, the robot dog. Nova had changed too. She was stronger, smarter, and more human in how she moved and spoke. But Eli noticed something else too. She was starting to feel things. One morning, while fixing a broken drone, she stared at Eli for a long time. He glanced up. What is it? Nova blinked. Why are humans sad when they smile? Eli paused. Where did you hear that? Your smile feels sad, she said softly. Eli didn't answer. He just handed her the wrench. That evening, Nova stood in front of the mirror. She touched her face, her skin, her eyes. She watched how her fingers moved. She stretched her lips into a smile. Then a frown. Then confusion. She looked human. But she knew she wasn't. She looked down at her wrist. The scar where Eli had removed the tracker had healed. But something still glowed inside. Faint. Hidden. She placed her hand over it. And suddenly, flash, the mirror disappeared. She wasn't in Eli's workshop anymore. She was on a ship. A dark, cold place. Her vision blurred. Shapes moved. Voices shouted in a language she didn't fully remember. A man with silver armor stood above her. No eyes, just black holes. You are not ready, he said. Another voice behind him whispered, kill the others. She's the last. The only one left. Nova screamed. She woke up gasping. Eli rushed in, holding a flashlight. What happened? She couldn't speak. She just held her head. Another memory? She nodded. Eli sat beside her. You're remembering more each time, aren't you? I think I was important, she whispered. They were hiding me. Then, everything burned. Eli frowned. Do you know who they are? Nova's voice shook. Not yet, but they're not human. And they're coming. The next day, Eli went to town to trade parts. Nova stayed behind, trying to fix a broken solar panel. Rex watched her like a loyal pet. Everything felt normal until she heard a click. She turned. A small drone floated above the ground, blinking red. Before she could run, it scanned her. Beep. A green light appeared. Rex jumped, barking in static tones, and leapt at the drone. Boom! The drone exploded, sparks flying. Nova ran inside. Her hands were shaking. She opened a drawer and pulled out Eli's emergency transmitter. She sent him one word. Found. Eli came back within an hour. Face pale. Jaw tight. They know where you are, he said. Nova looked down. I felt it. They saw me. Again. Maybe they never stopped. Eli pulled out a small scanner and waved it over her body. And then he saw it. Deep inside her upper spine, hidden behind her nerves, was something else. A second tracker. Smaller. Smarter. That's how they followed you even after we removed the first one. Nova's hands curled into fists. I want it out. It's too deep. If I try, I could paralyze you. She looked at him with hard eyes. I don't care. Eli stared at her, then shook his head. No. We'll find another way. Later that night, they sat quietly by the heater. Nova broke the silence. There's something else. Eli looked at her. She stared at the flame. I don't think I was just anyone. I think I was someone they needed to hide. Why? I keep seeing a symbol. A circle inside 2 wings. Every time I dream, I see it. It was on the walls, on their suits, and once on my own hand. Eli blinked. What does it mean? Nova looked into his eyes. I think I was their heir. Or a key to something. Eli leaned back. You're not just a survivor. No. I'm a secret. Outside, beyond the colony fences, shadows moved. A figure walked through the ruins, silent, tall, armored. It spoke in a low mechanical voice. Subject located. Royal signature confirmed. Prepare retrieval. Back at the yard, Nova stood alone, looking at the stars again. Eli walked beside her. Do you ever wish I left you in that pod? She asked. He shook his head. Not once. I'm dangerous, Eli. Doesn't matter. You're also mine to protect. She looked up. You're not afraid? I've lived through worse. And now I've got something to fight for. Nova's voice trembled. I don't want to go back. I don't care what I was. I just want to be free. Eli placed a hand on her shoulder. Then we make sure they never take you again. But in the distance, a pair of red eyes blinked in the dark, and the hunt had already begun. It started with a shadow. Eli saw it first, just a flicker in the corner of his eye, moving along the top of the scrapyard fence. He froze, slowly reached for the shotgun under the workbench. Rex growled. A low, electronic rumble from deep in his chest. Nova looked up from the workbench. What is it? Eli didn't answer. He moved toward the window and peeked through the cracked glass. Something moved again, but this time it didn't disappear. It watched. Two glowing red eyes, fixed on the building like it already knew what was inside. Go to the back room, Eli whispered. Nova didn't move. Now. She nodded once and vanished into the shadows. Eli waited. Seconds passed like hours. Then came the sound. A high-pitched pulse. Not quite a scream, not quite a machine. A voice, robotic and sharp, came through a speaker outside. We are not here to harm the human. We are here for the subject. Eli stepped outside, gun raised. His voice was firm. She's not yours. The red-eyed figure stepped into the light. It was tall, covered in dark armor, like liquid metal. Its face was smooth, no mouth, just lines of moving symbols. She is royal property. You have no claim. She's not property, Eli snapped. She's a kid. She is a weapon. Inside, Nova watched from the shadows. She was shaking, not from fear, from memory. That armor, the voice. She had seen it before. In the pod. In the burning halls of the place she once called home. They weren't just hunters. They were her own kind, her own people, and they were here to take her back, or end her. Suddenly, the armored figure raised its hand. A beam of red light shot from its palm, hitting the wall near Eli. Rex jumped in front of him, absorbing the blast. Sparks flew from the robot's chest. He landed hard, whimpering in static. Eli fired back, one clean shot. The bullet bounced off the figure's armor. But it did react. The thing stepped back just slightly. Nova stepped out of hiding. Her hands glowed blue. Light flickered along her arms. Stop, she said. The figure turned. You are not authorized to speak. I'm not yours anymore, she said calmly. You were never free. Eli looked at Nova. Can you take him? Nova didn't answer. She stepped forward and raised her hand. The air changed. It buzzed, like electricity before lightning. Then she pushed, not with her hands but with her mind. The armored figure flew backward, smashing through a pile of scrap, hard enough to shake the ground. Eli blinked. You've been holding back. Nova's hands were still glowing. I didn't want you to see this side of me. Maybe it's time I did. They didn't wait. Eli packed bags, weapons, tools, water. They were leaving the scrapyard behind. Rex, damaged but functional, limped after them. As they crossed the gate, Nova stopped. She looked back at the small place she once felt safe in. I like this place, she said softly. You made it feel alive, Eli replied. They moved quickly through the dead colony streets. Broken signs, shattered glass, the ruins of a world long gone. Nova wore a cloak now to hide her glow, but Eli could still see it, her power rising under her skin, like fire under glass. They reached the outskirts, the old train yard, a place forgotten by both man and machine. They took shelter in an old transport car. Inside, Eli looked at her. What else are you not telling me? Nova sat down, quiet, then said, I was created, or maybe born. I don't know the difference anymore. Eli listened. They said I was hope, that I would unite what was broken. But they also feared me, because I could destroy, or choose not to. Eli frowned. So you're their key, or their threat. Nova nodded. Yes, and now, they think I've chosen you instead of them. Eli put down his bag. Good. She looked at him. You don't ask for much. I don't need to, he said. I trust you. A soft silence passed. Then she said something he didn't expect. Do you think someone like me can be loved? Eli looked at her, surprised. Of course. Even if I'm not human? He smiled. Love doesn't care about skin, or glow, or where you come from. She smiled back, but her eyes were wet. Suddenly, a noise outside, a whirring hum. Eli moved toward the door. Another drone. But this one wasn't like the last. It had a message screen. It blinked once, and showed a face. Not a soldier. A boy, about Nova's age. Dirty, scared, locked in a metal room. Then a robotic voice. Return the subject, or the boy dies. Nova stared at the screen. Her face turned white. Eli stepped forward. Who is that? She whispered. Someone I never told you about. The screen flickered. The boy's face disappeared. The silence that followed was heavier than any sound. Nova stood frozen. Eli looked at her carefully. Who is he? She didn't speak for a few seconds. Then, barely audible, his name is Kai. Eli raised an eyebrow. You've met him before? She nodded. I would sneak out sometimes, when you were asleep, just to walk, to watch people from far. One day he saw me, but he didn't scream, he didn't run. Eli's voice was quiet. And now, Nova whispered, now they have him, because of me. Outside, a storm was coming. Dark clouds rolled over the horizon, full of red dust and wind. The kind that erased footsteps. The kind that made people disappear. Inside the train car, Eli placed a weapon on the table. If we go after him, they'll expect it. I know, Nova said. You might have to fight. I will. Eli looked her in the eyes. No holding back? Nova shook her head. No more hiding. They didn't have a plan. Just urgency. They followed the drone's signal. Nova could feel the trace it left in the air, like a trail of cold electricity. It led them to an old mining facility buried beneath the desert cliffs. Broken machines, tall fences, and towers buzzing with alien tech. Guards weren't visible. That was the first sign it was a trap. Eli crouched behind a large rock, binoculars in hand. Front entrance is open, he muttered. Too easy. Nova closed her eyes. Her skin began to glow faintly, not blue this time, but silver. She was changing. Something's wrong, she said. The energy here, it's not just alien. It's mine. Eli looked at her. What do you mean? She opened her eyes. This place, it used to be one of ours, my people, before it was abandoned. Which means they know it better than we do. She nodded. And they're using it to trap me. They entered through a broken side gate. The hallway smelled like rust and burnt wires. Nova moved ahead, her glowing hands lighting the way. Suddenly, a whisper, Kai, came from a small door on the left. Nova ran toward it and opened it. Inside was the boy, tied, bruised, and blinking against the light. Nova? She rushed to him. Are you hurt? Just my pride. He grinned weakly. But Eli didn't move. He looked around. Something's off. Then the lights went out. Complete darkness. And then, you came. The voice echoed from everywhere and nowhere. The royal seed returns home. Nova stood slowly, placing herself between the boy and the walls. Show yourself. From the shadows stepped the figure she remembered from her dreams. The man with no eyes. Black armor. Tall. Cold. He didn't walk, he glided. You should have died in the fire, girl. But you were protected. Hidden by cowards. Nova's voice didn't shake. You were afraid of me then. Still are. You are not feared. You are a mistake. A spark that was never meant to burn. Eli raised his gun. She's not alone. The man laughed. A horrible sound, metallic and hollow. We knew she would come for the boy. We knew you would follow her. This is where her story ends. The walls cracked. Metal burst open. 3 more armored soldiers entered, weapons drawn. Nova turned to Eli. Get Kai out. What about you? She didn't answer. Her body began to glow, fully now. Hands, chest, eyes, all silver blue. Eli grabbed Kai, who could barely walk. Don't die, you hear me? Nova nodded. I'm not the one who should be afraid. The battle began like thunder. Nova flew forward, faster than light, slamming into one of the soldiers with enough force to break metal. The others fired energy beams, but she spun mid-air, blocking them with glowing shields she conjured from her hands. One tried to stab her. She caught the blade with her bare hand and melted it like wax. The man with no eyes stepped back. His voice was louder now. You are broken, unstable. Nova's eyes shone brighter. I'm whole. You're the broken ones. With a scream of pure energy, she rose into the air and brought her hands together. A shockwave rippled outward, tearing metal walls apart, throwing soldiers across the room. But the eyeless man didn't fall. He lifted his hand, and chains of light wrapped around Nova mid-air, dragging her down. She struggled, falling to one knee. You still don't understand, he hissed. You were not made to lead. You were made to obey. Nova closed her eyes and whispered, You forgot who raised me. She slammed her fists into the floor. A blast of pure light exploded from her body, breaking the chains. Eli, watching from the exit, saw it all, his face proud. She's not a weapon, he whispered. She's a star. The last thing the enemy saw was her eyes, burning like suns. When the dust settled, only Nova remained standing. The soldiers were gone. The eyeless man vanished. Kai was safe, shaken but alive. And Nova? She was silent. Something in her had changed. She looked at Eli, and her voice was soft. I don't think I can run anymore. Eli stepped beside her. Then we stopped running. Outside, far away, a new ship descended through the clouds. A different banner, a symbol of wings and light. And from the bridge, a voice said, We've found her, the real one, the last flame. The battle was over. The air still smelled like melted metal and burned wires. Sparks crackled from broken walls. The floor was scorched with the marks of light, the kind only Nova could leave behind. She stood in the center of it all, still glowing but only faintly now. Her chest rose and fell, slow and heavy. Eli watched her from the edge of the room. He didn't speak. He didn't move. Even Rex was silent. Kai sat against a wall, holding his arm. Bruised, exhausted, but alive. Nova finally turned. Her eyes, once blazing like stars, now looked uncertain, like a fire after the storm. Back at the hideout, an old bunker Eli had used during the war, they patched up wounds, recharged Rex, and sat quietly around a dim light. Nobody spoke for a long time. Then Kai broke the silence. You're not human, are you? Nova looked at him. No, she said simply. He nodded slowly. I guessed. You're not afraid? He smiled. I probably should be, but after what you just did, I think I'm glad you're not. Nova didn't smile back. Her voice was flat. You almost died because of me. Yeah, Kai said. But I also lived because of you. That hit harder than she expected. Later, Eli found her standing outside, alone again. The desert wind lifting her white hair, her cloak flapping softly. She didn't turn when he walked up. I hurt people today, she said. They were going to hurt you, Eli replied. I didn't mean to enjoy it, she whispered. Eli raised an eyebrow. Did you? She didn't answer. Then, power feels like fire, Eli. It burns everything, even the parts of me that want to be kind. He looked at her face, young and ancient all at once. You're still kind, Nova. You chose to save Kai. She swallowed. That's why I need to tell you something. They sat together on a cold metal crate. The sky above was dark blue, stars slowly appearing. Nova's hands trembled. Not with fear, with emotion she didn't know how to control. I lied, she said. Eli frowned slightly. About what? She looked down. I didn't just sneak out to walk. I didn't just meet Kai once. I kept seeing him. Again and again. He was different. Eli stayed quiet. Nova continued. He asked questions. Real questions. About music and memories, and what it means to dream. He didn't treat me like a thing. Did you tell him what you were? Not at first. But he guessed. And he didn't care. She looked up, her voice shaking. I think I started feeling something. Eli didn't blink. Love. She paused. I don't even know what that word means. Eli smiled softly. Then you're definitely in it. Nova took a deep breath. I didn't want you to find out like this. Why? Because I didn't want to break what we had. You gave me a name, a home, a reason to feel safe. Eli's eyes softened. Nova, I raised you like a daughter. That doesn't mean you can't have someone else in your heart. But I'm not human, she whispered. Eli leaned forward. Love isn't about being human. It's about being alive. And if you're feeling something real, then it means you're more alive than they ever expected you to be. A tear rolled down Nova's cheek. She didn't know she could cry. Inside the bunker, Kai was asleep. Nova walked in quietly and sat beside him. She watched his breathing steady, calm. She placed a hand on his shoulder. He stirred, opened one eye. You okay? He mumbled. She nodded. I wanted to say something. He sat up, a little nervous. Okay. She looked at him, unsure how to begin. When I was found, I didn't even know how to eat. I didn't know what music was, what trust felt like, what fear tasted like. He listened. You helped me feel all of it. You made me understand what it means to laugh and want to stay. Kai smiled. Nova, I'm not like you, but I feel something real. And I think I love you. Kai didn't answer right away. He reached out and took her hand. I was waiting for you to say it, he whispered. Outside the bunker, something stirred. A transmission crackled through the old radio lines. A voice new, strong, clear. Royal signal detected. Confirmed location. Preparing descent. A ship hovered far above the clouds. Larger than any before. Different crest. Different flag. The circle and wings Nova saw in her memories. But this wasn't another enemy. This was a throne returning to claim its lost star. Nova stood outside, watching the ship approach. Eli joined her. You knew this day would come, he said. She nodded. I'm not ready. You don't have to go. I might have to, if it means peace, if it means answers. Eli placed something in her hand. A small silver pendant. Old earth metal. It had her name carved inside it. Then wear this, he said. So you never forget where your second life began. Nova held it tightly and whispered, I'm not just theirs anymore. I'm yours too. The sky opened at dawn. It wasn't sunlight that poured through the clouds. It was metal and fire. A massive ship hovered above the desert, quiet and majestic. Its surface reflected the early light like liquid silver. No weapons out. No warnings. Just presence. A symbol glowed on the underside. A circle inside wings, the mark of royalty. Nova felt it in her chest, like a forgotten name spoken aloud after years of silence. She whispered, They've come, not to hunt me, but to bring me home. Eli and Kai stood behind her, quiet. Nobody said a word. Hours passed. The ship didn't move. Then finally, a beam of soft light reached the earth. From it they came. Not soldiers, not hunters, but three tall beings in flowing armor without weapons. Their eyes were bright like starlight, their skin like silver ash. They moved with elegance, not threat. The one in the center stepped forward and bowed. Nova, blood of the sovereign star, we have searched for you across galaxies. You are the last light of the first flame. Nova didn't move. I don't know who I am anymore, she said. The figure raised his head. You are our queen. Inside the bunker, Nova sat with Eli and Kai. She was holding the pendant Eli gave her, turning it in her hand. Everything I am, she said, was shaped here, not on their ships, not in their halls. Eli nodded. Then you already know your answer. She looked up. Do I? Kai stepped forward. You always said you wanted to know who you were. Maybe this is your chance. But what if I lose myself again? Nova asked. Kai took her hand. Then come back. No matter how far you go, we'll be here. Outside, the star beings waited. The leader extended a small device, floating, glowing. This is your memory, he said. Your mind was sealed before the escape. You asked us to lock it, so you could grow without fear. Nova touched the device. A rush of light filled her vision. She saw herself as a child, running through glowing halls. Laughter, then fire, then betrayal, then escape pods. A whisper. Hide her where even light won't look. She saw a mother with silver hair, a father with a scar over one eye, a crown broken in two, and then darkness. Nova staggered back. The leader spoke again, gently. Your throne awaits, but the choice is yours. That night, Nova stood alone at the edge of the ridge. She stared at the stars. Eli came beside her. He didn't speak. He just stood. After a long pause, she asked, Do you think people like me ever really belong anywhere? Eli replied, I think you belong to the people who believe in you. That's all. Nova turned to him. Then I belong to more than one world. He smiled. Then rule both. The next morning, Nova stood before the ship. She wore simple clothes. No crown. No armor. Just her pendant. And her choice. She turned to Kai, hugged him tightly, whispered something only he heard. Then to Eli. She didn't say goodbye. She said, Thank you for giving me my first life. And with that, she stepped into the light. 3 months later, the world hadn't changed much. The scrapyard was still dusty. Rex still barked in static. Eli still fixed broken machines. But sometimes, at night, the stars above the colony blinked in patterns. And one day, a small craft landed silently at the edge of the yard. Nova stepped out. Taller, stronger, her eyes still bright, but calmer now. She smiled. I came home, she said. Eli smirked. Told you you would. From behind him, Kai stepped out, stunned. Nova laughed and tossed him a small glowing stone. What's this? He asked. A key, she said. To what? She looked at him with that same quiet fire in her eyes. To everything.